This cross-section shows the human forebrain, the peak of evolutionary neurodevelopment. It is an organ tasked with significant computational responsibilities, processing abstract logic and constructing high-order reasoning. Yet this processing capacity relies on an architecture with a severe physical vulnerability. It is composed entirely of soft biological tissue. Exposing this unprotected tissue to the kinetic forces of the outside world would result in irreversible neural damage from even a minor impact. Maintaining these neural systems within such a fragile medium requires a state of mechanical isolation. The central nervous system survives because it relies on a compound physical defense matrix. The brain operates through a highly segregated internal architecture. To understand how this works, we will deconstruct this system from the outside in. We will first map the biomechanical fortress protecting the brain, before moving inward to isolate the discrete functional regions of the forebrain itself. Analyzing the brain as a layered biomechanical machine provides a framework for understanding human cognition. This diagram illustrates the primary engineering requirement for the central nervous system, shielding from external physical impacts and mechanical stress. The defense relies on three distinct physical layers. The outermost layer is the cranium. It serves as a rigid osteological shell, built to absorb primary kinetic strikes. Beneath the bone lie the meninges. This triple-layer matrix of membranes acts as a rigorous chemical and biological barrier, blocking harmful substances from reaching the neurons. The final defensive layer is cerebrospinal fluid, or CSF. This is a fluid bath that occupies the brain's internal ventricles and the space surrounding the tissue. CSF acts as a dynamic shock absorber. By physically suspending the neurons in liquid, it continuously dampens residual kinetic energy that makes it past the skull. This specific architecture of cranium, meninges, and CSF is a biological prerequisite. Without it, the delicate neuroarchitecture inside would be compromised by the physical trauma of everyday movement. Moving beneath the protective barriers, this side profile cross-section reveals the massive, highly developed structure of the forebrain. The largest component here is the cerebrum. This is the primary processing center driving intelligence, voluntary movement, and speech. The outermost rim of the cerebrum is known as the cerebral cortex. Anatomically, the cortex is a dense layer of gray matter overlying a deeper network of white matter. Its highly folded geometry solves a specific structural problem. It maximizes available surface area within the rigidly confined space of the cranium. That maximized surface area dictates the brain's capacity. More area allows for denser neural networks, enabling complex, high-order processing and extensive memory storage. Human intelligence is physically bound by this specific geometry. The wrinkled surface of the cortex provides the structural foundation required for advanced reasoning. A top-down anatomical slice reveals that the cerebrum is physically divided into two distinct, isolated hemispheres. The system operates on lateralization. The left cerebral hemisphere controls the right side of the body, and the right hemisphere controls the left. This creates a logistical problem. How do two physically isolated processing centers coordinate their data to generate a single conscious experience? The solution is the corpus callosum. It is a large, high-bandwidth communication band bridging the two halves. Seamless human action requires this precise bridge. The corpus callosum integrates the segregated processing power of both hemispheres in real time. Beneath the higher-order reasoning centers of the cortex lies the evolutionarily older structural core of the forebrain. Wrapped entirely by the mass of the cerebrum is the thalamus. The thalamus acts as the primary relay station. It takes incoming sensory data from the eyes, from the ears, and the skin, and routes it upward to the cortex for processing. Adjacent to this relay is the limbic system, an arc-shaped subcortical network containing the hypothalamus. This system integrates our primitive physiological responses. The limbic system regulates foundational biological drives. Through the hypothalamus, it controls the physical signals for hunger and thirst. It also controls our base emotional alarms, acting as the origin point for reactions like fear, anger, pleasure, and tranquility. While the outer cortex calculates variables and plans the future, This deep limbic core relentlessly manages the immediate primal parameters of biological survival. Consider a high-stress scenario like encountering a sudden, terrifying threat in the wild. Data moves rapidly through this architecture. The deep brain reacts first. The limbic system generates a strong emotional drive, flooding the network with intense fear. Simultaneously, the cerebrum executes logical reasoning. It processes the context of the threat, formulates a rational response, and regulates that base drive. Human self-control is an ongoing anatomical negotiation, a constant flow of data between our evolutionary past and our intellectual present. This entire system relies on its nested biomechanical architecture. The forebrain is secured by the rigid outer cranium, the triple meninges, and the cushioning CSF. Inside that fortress, functions are physically partitioned. Deep primal processors route our survival, while an overlying, highly folded computational cortex builds our conscious reality. Ultimately, the human mind functions as a meticulously constructed, heavily armored network of specialized processors engaged in perpetual dialogue.